Hello and welcome back to my RC channel. I'm AndyRC and today I'm going to be checking out the new Runcam Micro Eagle. This is a new micro CMOS camera from Runcam that switches from 16:9 to 4:3. It does crop some of the field of view in 4:3, so we've got 140-degree field of view in 4:3 and then 170-degree field of view in 16:9. So I'm probably going to be using my on-way commanders when flying with this one. I know a lot of people are exclusively running CMOS cameras now just for the great wide dynamic range, and I believe this has got 6 different options for wide dynamic range. So yeah, it even beats out the Eagle 2, the full-size camera, in some aspects, which is just incredible. So it takes a huge voltage range, so 5 to 36 volts. So let's take a look what you get in the box here. So you now have to download the user manual. I don't see that being a problem. Now, this is a micro camera, but it's quite unusual in that it's using a full-size lens. Just look at that. Absolutely incredible. It is a little bit heavier than the likes of the Micro Swift though. I think it's around 8 grams, whereas the Micro Swift is about 5 grams there. So let's take a look at the pads on the back. So we've got the voltage in, the ground, and then the video, and then we've also got the little attachment here for the on-screen display. So I don't think this one's got a built-in on-screen display as in for your battery voltage, but it's got an on-screen display where you can go in and change the settings. So let's take a look at what you get. Got a bag of stuff here, and it looks like we have got the controller. Looks like a new style of controller to me. Very smart with the orange buttons there. Yeah, very nice. Then we've got our usual wiring harness, so it's the usual 3-pin 1.25 pitch JST connector that goes into the majority of the Runcams, and then we've got the little extension cable as well, which you might want to just keep in the camera so you can change the settings. And then it looks like we have got a mount. Just trying to see if it's, I think this is actually plastic. No, it's metal, it's bending there. It just feels a bit plasticky. I think it's just the finish on there, and then we've got a bunch of screws and washers, which, you know, fairly standard. So I'm going to have to hack up one of my models to try this out, and I think it's going to be the Fury Bee Geniuser, something like that. When I reviewed this guy, I believe that I had a faulty camera, so I haven't actually flown it that much. Quite a strange hue when looking through the FPV goggles. So this will fit in there, even though it's using a bigger lens. I do think it's a bespoke lens, by the way. I say it's a full-size lens, but I think it's just a bigger lens. There's no markings on it here, and I don't have any information if it's compatible with all of the other lenses. But I'm going to take this out because this is also using the 3-pin JST connector. And yeah, it's exactly the same dimensions as the Micro Swift and the Micro Swift copies when it comes to the width there. So I'm going to take this apart, put that in there, and see what the quality is like. Well, it fits in there pretty perfect. There's not much more to say about that. Okay, so let's have a quick look at the menu system. So it's the button in the middle there. You can see the first setting we have is image. So if we go into there, we can change the gain. So let's have a look what options we've got. It goes all the way up to 9, and I think it was on 7 out of the box. And then you can see here the wide dynamic range. I think that goes up to 6 as well. Can you see there? I think it was on 6 out of the box. And then if we go into image enhance, so we have the usual sharpness, and this is usually what you have to mess around with the CMOS cameras because you get quite a lot of shimmer, but it was set with these values at fairly low here, but of course those go all the way up to, wow, 15 there, but I'm going to keep them fairly low to stop those shimmering effects that you get with a CMOS camera. So I've just returned there. So then we've got saturation, I'm going to keep that on auto, and then if we return down there, so we've got mirror. I don't know why you'd ever want to use that. You can actually flip the image, however when you flip it, the on-screen display still remains the same way around, so you know, you have to bear that in mind. Might as well just put your camera in the right way around in the first place, I would say. And then we've got brightness. This was at 36, and you can zoom in. I don't know why you'd ever want to do that, but if we go back to the main page, you've got your daylight, color, black and white settings, and then you've got your video standards. So yes, you can switch between NTSC and PAL, and I'm using PAL here because it's what the Copter is set up as. And then this is where you can change between 16:9 and 4:3, and as you'll see, the image there, it crops in, and it takes a little bit of time for the on-screen display to kick in. After that, maybe a little bit of processing required there. So that's the two different aspect ratios, and then we've got the language in there, and you can load the defaults. You've got the software version, and then save and exit as well, and that is all of the settings in the on-screen display. So let's take a look at some DVR footage. It's another snowy and icy day. In fact, I waited all day to get a flight in, and I got around a 15-minute window where it wasn't hailing or snowing, and it's around about -3. So the DVR footage doesn't look as good as it does through the goggles, and that is because of the low bit rate of the goggles and the fact that you have to stretch the DVR into a 16:9 aspect ratio in order for it to match what I'm looking at through the Omway Commander goggles. But as you can see, if we look at the sky, the dynamic range is just unrivaled compared to a CCD camera, and this is why a lot of people are switching to these CMOS cameras now. And the clarity is really nice as well. You've got more saturation in the colours, but you will notice you do get that shimmering effect, the chroma effect that these CMOS cameras have, and that is something that you really have to put up with. If you turn the sharpness completely down to 0, then you can help with that quite a lot, but then you do lose some of the clarity of the picture, I find. So I'm going to switch to a 4:3 flight that I did now. And yeah, it's really improved this Copter. And I'm probably going to be flying with this 4:3 image because the field of view is still really nice. And it's improved this Copter no end. But just look at that sky there, you can see every single detail. You know, with a CCD camera, it will favor the ground, which is what you want, but it does wash out the clouds, and with this it's just amazing to be able to see both. So yeah, I really like that, and I'm definitely going to be keeping this camera in this Copter, and I'm probably going to buy some more. But I should talk about the price, because the price is a little bit more steep than the other CCD cameras out there. It's about £33, you know, so you know, it's quite expensive for a analog camera, because you know, we are still dealing with analog signals here, and you can get those little Swift copies for about £18. But just look at that. When I take a look around here, the image quality is fantastic. I really like it. So yeah, I think I can recommend this camera. Oh, one thing I will say though is, you know, earlier when I took a look at the saturation page and it was on auto, I would probably stick that to manual. You can see there when I'm doing a couple of flips, it does change the color balance, I would say, and you'll see it when I come in for a landing as well. just taking a look around there. Look at those clouds. It looks fantastic. It's not something you can usually see through your FPV goggles. But yeah, I come in for a landing in a second, and you will see the white balance or color balance, or saturation, I guess you could say. It shifts. So it might be worth playing around with that. But yeah, other than that, I really like this camera. You can see there it went greener for a second as it pointed to the ground. I mean, these aren't the perfect conditions, you know. The sun was just going down and we've got a lot of snow around the place. But anyway, I'll put a link in the description if you wish to get one. You'll see the colour shift there. And as always, thanks so much for watching. Please continue to subscribe. Cheers.